At the moment, there are only 21 participants. We'll wait around 1 minute more. තාම ඉන්නේ 21 දෙනයි. අපි තව විනාඩියක් වගේ බලමු පොඩ්ඩක්. Earlier we did coconut agronomy. In coconut agronomy, we discuss from planting up to harvesting. From planting up to harvesting. පොල් පැලයක් සිටවන තැන ඉඳලා අස්වැන්න නෙන තැන දක්වා අපි කතා කරනවා coconut harvesting or coconut agronomy වලට. Here the latter part of that subject is coconut processing, manufacturing, processing, value addition, where after harvesting coconut, how to make different products, how to make different coconut products, කොහොමද විවිධ පොල් නිෂ්පාදන සකස් කරන්නේ, their value addition අගය එකතු කරන්නේ කොහොමද. This subject is continuing even in your MSc. මේ subject එකම MSc එකට එනවා. value addition of export crops කියලා tea, rubber, coconut and ESC. Professor Chandana and myself, we are doing MSc. In the MSc, from our department, 2 subjects are offering. Number 1, advanced irrigation, as I mentioned last time also. That is the design part of all practical component. And this subject is coming. So please follow up this subject very carefully. There, under different products, we are going to discuss your course content. First, I am going to introduce the background of this subject. May we say our පසුබිම පැහැදිලි කරනවා. Second one, different coconut products. Number 1, desiccated coconut manufacturing. Desiccated. In Sinhala, දී සිඳි පොල් නිෂ්පාදනය. දී සිඳි mean removal of moisture from coconut kernel. You remove the moisture, water from coconut kernel in pressed form. Pressed without drying, not drying, not proper drying. That is desiccated. If you do drying, that is copra. Copra can pull back, we will not, or smoking. But here we don't do. We do drying, but not direct drying. Second one, copra processing. Copra nispadaniya. Third one, coconut oil. In detail, we are going to discuss different methods of coconut oil production. Thereafter, I am not going to do small parts. Then we are going to discuss different products of coconut shell. Coconut shell, pol katuwa, ආශ්‍රිත නිෂ්පාදන. Charcoal, activated carbon. Charcoal means pol katu anguru. Activated carbon means සක්‍රිය carbon. We are going to discuss in detail. Thereafter, brown and white fiber processing. That is coconut fiber. Pol කොහු නිෂ්පාදනය. Brown fiber, දුඹුරු කොහු, white fiber, සුදු කොහු. So we are going to discuss. So these products are going to cover up through this subject. Next, you can see in the introduction part, you can read very briefly. Coconut and coconut-based products sector plays a pivotal role in foreign exchange earning. Coconut and coconut-based products, we can export coconut acid. අපි ලංකාවෙන් පොල් අපනයනය කරනවා පොල් ගෙඩි හැටියටම. coconut කියන්නේ ඒකයි. Coconut and coconut products. Then different products as I mentioned earlier. So coconut and coconut based products sector plays a pivotal role foreign exchange earning. In Sri Lanka, tea, rubber, and coconut, our main plantation income. But you can see the second sentence. What does that say? GDP contribution is only around 0.8. That means less than 1%. What do you mean by this? GDP, gross domestic production. In Sinhala, Dala Desiya Nispadane, gross domestic production. That is the contribution of coconut into local economy, national economy. පැහැදිලිද? ජාතික ආදායමට පොල් හා පොල්ලාස්තික නිෂ්පාදනවල දායකත්වය. National income contribution from coconut and coconut based products. You can see here only 0.8%. But tea it is very high value. Rubber also very high value. But here low value. Among plantation crops, the highest land extent is covered by coconut. Vavili Bogavali, among plantation crops, highest land coverage. Coconut. Now it is around 600,000 hectares. Hectare high lakshya. That means around 1,500,000 acres. Highest. But you can see income is very low. So in the exam, you should explain what's the reason having a low, very low GDP contribution by coconut with compared to tea and rubber. තේ සහ රබර් වලට සාපේක්ෂව ඇයි පොල් වලින් මෙච්චර අඩු දේශීය ආදායමකට දායක වෙන්නේ? I'll ask in the exam. Please get ready with very short answer, direct answer. I will point out from my next slide on that. Please quote Balagan. Area under cultivation coconut in 2016, this amount, 466,000 hectares. Here, I will put the latest figure. You can see. Please take it down in your note. In 2016, 466,000. But here in 2024, it is about, now you can see, in 2024, it's about 594,000 hectares, almost 600,000 hectares. Then we just take Sri Lankan map. I have highlighted light green color 2 districts, dark green color 1 district. This is Sri Lanka district showing map. මේ පෙන්වන්නේ ලංකාවේ district 20 ගාන. You can see here, this area is Puttalam district, this is Gampaha district, this is Kurunegala district. Why I highlighted these three districts? These three districts are the mainly coconut growing districts. Among them, highest coconut plantations are found in Kurunegala district. So these three districts, more than 55% of coconut cultivations are included. Accordingly, we name this area commonly named as Coconut Triangle. Coconut Triangle, Puttalam, Kurunegala, and here Kalutara. You can see here annual production. You should know, those who are doing plantation management degree, what is our annual tea production, what's our annual rubber production, what's our annual coconut production. You can see annual production of nuts approximately 2,500 to 3,000 million nuts. Maximum recent past is 2016, 3,001 million nuts. But even 2024, same figures. So if someone asks, what's our coconut production, annual nut production in between 2,500 to 3,000 million. ලංකාවේ පොළ නිෂ්පාදනයේ ගෙඩි මිලියන 2,500යි 3,000යි අතර. Last year it came down even 2,500. 2024 මේක 2,500ට දින අඩු වුණා. Then there's a problem. Now I am going to give the answer. Why coconut is having very low contribution to our national production? You know, we consume coconut in two ways. අපි පොල් පරිභෝජනය කරනවා ක්‍රම දෙකකට. Number 1 coconut milk, number 2 coconut oil. අපි ලංකාවේ පොල් පරිභෝජනය කරනවා. We consume coconut in two ways. Coconut milk, pol kiri, in preparing curries, and coconut oil, pol tel, for frying. Then what happened here? But in case of tea, we drink very little. Rubber, only an industrial product. Tea and panya, limited drink. Rubber is an industrial product, that's not a food item. Rubber can food item. Industrial product, karmanta nispadane. So local we consume very less tea and rubber. But what happened to coconut? Approximately 2/3 of nut production is consumed locally. When මේ නිෂ්පාදනයෙන් 3/2ක්ම අපි, more than 2/3 actually, consumed locally. And the balance 1/3 is exported. 3/1 ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ as value-added products in different categories. Now you can understand the answer. Sum up the answer. Why very low contribution? Among our production, more than 2/3 we consume locally. That's why in Sri Lanka, most of coconut factories are running under capacity. DC factories, coconut oil factories, they are running under capacity. They don't work throughout the week, only 2-3 days per week, most periods of the year. අවුරුදු වැඩි කාලයක් යා දවසයි දෙකයි වැඩ කරන්නේ. Then these are the different coconut products. You can see here. Whole parts of the coconut, trunk, front, inflorescence, husk, cell, testa, solid, liquid, Haustorium pellavi, all via coconut products are there. I'm not going to discuss in detail the parts, botany, the trunk, leaves, inflorescence here, and the fruit. Now I have to say one thing. Here, please see, I will add something. The reason for why 2/3 of nut production is only exported. I will put one sentence. You can note it down. Take it down. You can see the reason. Per capita coconut consumption our population is about 21 million. Then total consumption you can calculate. What is the value? 21 into 1116. 2,436 million. Now please read this sentence one by one. What I mentioned earlier, our national production is in between 2,500 to 3,000. There I mentioned 2/3 of the production is consumed locally. The reason I have given here. Please take it down. This is very important in exam. That's why I take much time. Per capita coconut consumption is 116 in Sri Lanka. What is per capita coconut consumption? Ek puddala pol paribhojane. Per capita coconut consumption. Ek puddala pol paribhojane 116. I have to mention batch reps. Hereafter I don't send the recording. Please convey this message. Lecture recording does not send to you. The reason behind, I am conducting this session 2 times, not a single time, Saturday and Sunday. Pramod and Mahen, please take this, Mr. Pramod and Mr. Mahen, take this message. I am not sending the recording hereafter. We discuss in the university, our staff. The reason behind, for instance, today only 47 participants. But your batch is around 185 or so on. So if I send the recording, what some are doing, they don't participate to the contact session. Earlier we had the physical sessions up to 2022, 22 or 20, yes, 22. Kali me lectures be physical. Every week you have to attend to the university. But because of the COVID pandemic, we restricted physical sessions. Unfortunately, that was continued as online. Even for online lectures, very few attendance, contact sessions. That's why we decided not to send lecture recording. Only the module is provided, hard copy. So please take the, otherwise that has taken a very bad impression to us. Very low participants. And sharp 8:30 I'm starting, not even 8:31 or 8:29. Now you are joining one by one. Now I can see who is joining just now. So don't take this as a very bad habit. So never send lecture recording. Please, I will send a notice also, message also, WhatsApp message to batch tips. You can share. That is why last week we had irrigation and water resource management. Paper marking was almost completed. Some are having very good marks. Only half. Other half is very low marks. Very low marks. The section 3 irrigation question, only 1/3 have calculated. 173 participants, 173 දෙනෙක් ඉඳා තිබ්බා irrigation water management එකට subject එකට 66 දෙනයි ගාන හදා තිබ්බේ. 107 දෙනෙක් ගාන හදලා නැහැ. 0 marks or very low marks. That problem take 25 marks. මුළු විභාගෙම ලකුණු 25 තියෙන ගැටලුවට. I discuss in detail. Those who have, even I am taking a contact session attendance sheet. I'm not making an attendance sheet as a printout. Those who are participating in contact sessions, we are giving some concession in paper marking because they have attended contact sessions. Those who are absent for contact sessions, very hardly, we never give any concession in paper marking. किसी मसहाने दिन ने paper marking. Therefore, please be careful. You are the latest batch, 20th intake. But 18th and 19th intake, they are very good. Their participants is more than 90 per session. But here only 51 so far. So no lecture recording, only the module. Okay, so please take that home message. So per capita coconut consumption is 116. Then, because I am discussing some important exam highlighting points, as you are online, you are doing online. I discussed the online. What is the paper? You can see irrigation management. I discuss whole paper. हम paper discuss करें. Here also I am doing, but you are not attending. Now per capita consumption is 100. What I am now trying to convince you, why Sri Lanka is having very low economic contribution. The answer is here. Our production is 2,500 to 3,000 million nuts. Per capita consumption is 116. What is per capita consumption? Per capita. Single person. Sorry, single person. Consumption. What is the consumption of one person in the country per capita? एक पुद्गल परिभोजने. एक पुद्गले परिभोजने प्रमाण. In Sri Lanka, in case of coconut, that is 116. 116. एक पुद्गले අවුරුද්ද පුරාට පොල්ගෙඩි 116ක් තෙල් හා කිරි වශයෙන් as coconut milk and coconut oil consumed 160. Then what we have to do? What's our population? 21 million. Our population is 21 million. Then what is the total consumption? 116 into 21 million. එක්කෙනෙක් 116යි මිලියන 21ක් ජනගහනය ඉන්නවා. Therefore, total consumption 116 into 21 million. The answer is 2,436 million. Now can you understand? Our production is 2,500 to 3,000. From that, we consume 2,400 million nuts. If you just take the average here, 2,750. මේ දෙකේ මොකද average එක 2750යි. Out of 2,750, we consume 2,400. That means 2,500. Even less than 1/3 is available for export industry. In the exam, if I just ask what is the main problem in coconut industry, මම විභාගෙ දෙහුවොත් මොකද්ද ප්‍රධානම ගැටලුව පොල් නිෂ්පාදන අංශයේ? lack of raw material. අමුද්‍රව්‍ය නැහැ. The reason is we consume locally. Now you can understand. Thereafter, these are the different products. You can read them. Then coconut based products. So this is the longitudinal and transverse section of fruit. You can see here, if you just cut a coconut horizontally and vertically, Citrus caput, you can see these parts. Then what are the different coconut based products? This slide is very much important in the exam. විභාගෙට මේ slide එක මෙහෙම අහනවා. List coconut based products. Please read this slide. මේ slide එක කියවන්න. Coconut based products. පොල් ආශ්‍රිත නිෂ්පාදන. You can see there. Coconut products can be subdivided into two groups: edible, non-edible. You know edible. Edible means in Sinhala ආහාරයට ගත හැකි. Edible could be taken as a food item. It could be taken as a food item. Edible. Non-edible means it cannot be eaten. That means it is an industrial product. Industrial raw material. එහෙනම් පොල් නිෂ්පාදන කොටස් දෙකකට බෙදෙනවා. Edible, non-edible. ආහාරයට ගත හැකි සහ කර්මාන්තමය. In the case of edible products, you can see here kernel mean පොල් මදේ. Like here. This is the coconut kernel, white color one. This is coconut kernel. Therefore, different products are there. I am here going to discuss only major export-oriented coconut products. Export-oriented. අපනයනය හා සම්බන්ධිත ප්‍රධාන නිෂ්පාදන. Number 1, DC, desiccated coconut, DC dipole, copra, and coconut oil. These three we are going to discuss in detail in your module. Module. Second one, coconut water. Here you can see coconut kernel, coconut water. So coconut sap means you can see from coconut inflorescence, pol maling, we can take the juice, sap. So from water and sap, we are preparing vinegar, vinagre, toddy, raw, wine, and nata de coco. I will show you that's a dessert, just like curd. Then non-edible products. You can see here, this is woody endocarp mean coconut shell, pol katuwa. Then this is mesocarp mean husk, pol lella, husk. So husk and coconut shell, pol lella sa pol katuwa. You can see here husk and coconut shell. Cell can be value added using charcoal, polkatu anguru, activated carbon, sakriya carbon, and ornaments. We are going to discuss here. Second one, from husk, we can take fiber, polkohu ganwa fiber. So fiber can be used for mattress, brooms, geotextile, coir ropes, and so on. White fiber, brown fiber, all. Coir pit mean kohubat, coir pit. So it can be dried, then it is called as coco peat. Coco peat can make dry karpuama. From coco peat we are preparing coir pellets, coir bricks, coir pots. Those are grow media. Vaga madde in special greenhouses. In Sri Lanka, very good market for grow bags. This type of coir pellet, coir bricks, coir pots using coco peat. Coco peat means dried coir pit. Velapu kohubattolagina coco peat here. We are going to discuss later. So now if I ask in the exam, list down or classify different coconut based products. Mangwadukutem pol ask is an ispadana. This is the answer. All this slide. Please make note that one. I note karaganda. Then, so now I will display some products. Them penana saman is padana. DC coconut. You can see pure white color. DC. Then copra. This is good quality copra. Then this coconut water, coconut oil. Fresh coconut we export as it is. Then coconut milk is used preparing curries. Then punak, after extracting coconut oil, the residue is called as punak. Then different food items, coconut jam, coconut coffee, coconut wine, vinegar. This is the natadi cocoa. Natadi cocoa means, you can put coconut milk, you can ferment. But we make ferment karan. Ferment kan pulwa. Pasavanda pulwa. Even without putting any inoculum. Pasam karka konne. Cow milk, buffalo milk, you can make curd. Elakiri make curd hadanda. From coconut milk, you can prepare natadi cocoa. That's a dessert. Then these are the fiber products, ropes, brooms, coir mats. These are the cell products, activated carbon, this is coconut charcoal, coconut. These are the cell products, ornaments. These are the food items, paste and ice cream. In Sri Lanka now it's having a very good market for bottled coconut water. So many companies, they export. Then coconut toffee and paste. These are the fiber products. Bare roofing seeds, coir roofing seeds, and geotextile. We are discussing in later. Geotextile as a soil cover, mulch. These are the hostorium, embryo, Palamadhyasidanispadana. Now you can see. Very important slide, but don't cram. Have a rough idea. What this slide says. This slide day take 1 minute. Vinadiyak aragana, read it out. Make it. I will take 1 minute. I will give you 1 minute. Please read this slide. Try to make understand. Okay, what does this slide say? Coconut and coconut product conversion. Pol saha pol nispadana parivartani. Here you can see to produce 1 metric ton of desiccated coconut. එක DC metric ton එකක් හදන්න. What is the weight of 1 metric ton? 1000 kilograms. Metric ton එකක් කියන්නේ කිලෝ 1000යි 1000 kilograms. To produce 1000 kilograms, that means 1 metric ton of DC, you need 7,797 nuts. Raw coconuts. Already 7,797 ඕනේ. Approximately 7,800. You can write it as 7,800 nuts. Here coconut oil 8,000. You can see 8,700. Likewise, here roughly you can take it down. 5,200 nuts. Then same as earlier, take it down 7,800 nuts. So now you can see to produce 1 metric ton of DC, you need 7,800 nuts. Coconut oil 8,700 nuts. Copra 5,200. 200. Milk powder maximum 14,000 nuts. For the reason it is in dry form. Powder means no water at all. Then coconut cream, same as earlier. Coconut milk, least number of nuts. Aduma only polkiri. That's water. Coconut water. Coconut milk. Water base. Now, I have given you this number of nuts. You should know what is the weight of DHAS nut. පොල්ගෙඩි 7,800 ගන්න නම් මොකක්ද පොල්ගෙඩියේ average weight එක after dehusking, after removal of the nut? That should be here. I will give that one. It is not in your module. Normally, you can see here. Average DHAS nut weight 710 grams. Please take it down. Now you can see. Please take it down. Average DHAS coconut weight should be 710 grams. What does that mean? Once you remove the husk පොල් එල්ල ඉවතට පස්සේ the weight of coconut should be 710 grams. That's the average. So that should be the average weight of a coconut after de-husking. ඒක දැනගන්න exam එකේ 710 gram. If it is low, mean low quality coconut, poor quality coconut. If the weight is less than that, buried now. If you use small coconuts, you should have higher number of nuts. පැහැදිලිද? මේ තමයි average nut size එක. මේකේ පොඩි nuts ගත්තොත් එimhe ගෙඩි ගත්තොත් එimhe 7800න් හදන්න බෑ ඊට වැඩි ගාණක් යනවා. If you use low weighted nuts here, it take more number of nuts than here. මේකේ ගෙඩි ගාණක් යනවා. Then if I just ask in the exam, explain the coconut and coconut product conversion, you should be give this slide. මේ slide එක මෙහෙම දෙන්න ඕනේ. Then stakeholders in the industry, this you know what are stakeholders? පොල් නිෂ්පාදනය හා ඉන්න එකේ කණ්ඩායම් මේ සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකේදී කොකන් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි කියන කට්ටිය කවුද? growers ඉන්නවා, වගාකරුවන්, වැවිලිකරුවන්, DC millers, different products handling persons, DC millers, copra, coconut oil, fiber, all these, and finally exporters, අපනයනකරුවන්, and brokers. Then support institutes. If I just ask in the exam, who are the supportive institutes? Supportive institutes. Supportive institutes. Coconut Development Authority. You know, in Sri Lanka, with regard to coconut, 3 government agents are there. ප්‍රධාන ආයතන 3ක් තියෙනවා. Number 1, Coconut Research Institute in Lunivilla, පොල් පර්යේෂණ ආයතනය. We discussed in coconut agronomy subject. They do the research in new development and find out the research solutions for problems. You know the main role of CRI, Coconut Research Institute, to do the research in new product development as well as take the solutions for ongoing problems. Number 2, CRI, Coconut Research Institute, CRI. Coconut Research Institute, we discussed there. Thereafter, the second one, Coconut Development Authority, පොල් සංවර්ධන අධිකාරිය. Coconut Development Authority. That is the main institute responsible for coconut industry. In this subject, you should know very well. I will ask in the exam. I have asked in the exam. My exam is අහලා තියෙනවා. පොල් ආශ්‍රිත නිෂ්පාදන සම්බන්ධ රජයේ ආයතනය මොකක්ද? That is coconut industry. No one can export any coconut product from Sri Lanka without having the approval of Coconut Development Authority. ලංකාවේ කොයිම වෙලාවකවත් බෑ පොල් සංවර්ධන අධිකාරියේ අනුමැතියකින් තොරව කිසිම පොල් නිෂ්පාදනයක් පිටට යවන්න. No one can import. So no one can export. No one can export, even import. දෙකම කරන්න බෑ. අපනයනය කරන්න බෑ, ආනයනය කරන්නත් බෑ පොල් සංවර්ධන අධිකාරිය අවසරයක් නැතුව. What is the role of Coconut Development Authority? They do supervision in coconut industry. Any product. පොල් නිෂ්පාදන අධීක්ෂණය කරනවා. Provide technical know-how. Technical knowledge එක දෙනවා. And they do facilitate export market. අපනයන වලදී පොල් සකස් කරලා දෙනවා. and total authorities under them. Coconut Development Authority. Then Coconut Cultivation Board, we discussed in coconut agronomy. They do the extension service, subsidy program, planting material, and so all of extension part in agronomic side, not industrial. Then IDB, Industrial Development Board, they assist in to CDA to produce required machinery and know-how. නිෂ්පාදන උපකරණ සැපයීම කරන්නේ සකස් කිරීම කරන්නේ IDB and the knowledge. Then if I just ask list out the support institutions in coconut industry, you should list out these. Then please make note here, Coconut Development Authority is the premier government agency involved in development of this sector. That's why I discussed this. They do conduct coconut auction. Eratama pol auction neka 2 days per week. Satin dawat deka, or sometimes a week, a day per week in Colombo and Kuliyapitiya. Colombo sa Kuliyapitiya dina coconut auction neka polwen desi to decide the price. Then these are the popular producers in the industry. Export sector, we do, if I just ask, list out our main export products in coconut. If I just ask, list main coconut export products, Sri Lankan industry develop export DC, coconut cream and milk, milk powder, virgin coconut oil in single down portal. We discuss next week in detail. Coconut fiber products, corn nispadana, cocoa peat products, as I mentioned, grow bags and active carbon. So these are the 7 main products. Today and next week. In the exam, I have based your module on these 7 products. Then, now shall we see one by one. The first product is manufacturing of desiccated coconut. අපේ පළමු නිෂ්පාදනය තමයි DC නිෂ්පාදනය. DC නිෂ්පාදනය. Here in the exam I have asked in detail discuss the DC manufacturing process. Exam එකේ මම අහලා තියෙන මොකද්ද? DC manufacturing process එක විස්තර කරන්න in detail as a theory question. In section 2 or 3, මම මේ දෙකෙන් කොකාරි කහලා තියෙනවා. You have to discuss the steps. You have to draw the flow chart. නිෂ්පාදන ගැලීම් සටහන අඳින්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. What is the first step? What do you do there? What is the second step? What are the conditions? Third step, there are 10 steps. Pure the hat තියෙනවා. You should know in detail. DC manufacturing process. So now I have introduced the subject. The first part I have completed, introduction part. The second part is DC process. Before that, take 2-minute break for relaxation. විනාඩි 2ක විතර break එකක් ගන්න, relax වෙන්න. Then we will continue DC process. First of all, you should know this is desiccated coconut. So what is that? The definition for desiccated coconut is this. Or the DC is dried. This dried means removal of moisture. Disintegrated. Disintegrated means cut. Kapapu. Before that, it is just a coconut shell. So coconut normally kernel. Polmadi. So here small particles are here. Small particles are here. That is disintegrated. White kernel coconut, සුදු පාටයි. You preserve the white color. සුදු පාට එහෙමම තියාගන්න. Process under strict hygienic conditions. That's a very important thing. DC process is processed under strict hygienic conditions. හරියටම සෞඛ්‍යාරක්ෂිතව හදන්න ඕනේ. That is why not like coconut oil or any other product, අනිත් නිෂ්පාදන වගේ නෙමේ, all Sri Lankan DC factories are supervised directly by CDA, Coconut Development Authority. Every day, Coconut Development Authority officers, they name as Coconut Development Instructors, CDI. They do visit to factories. One personnel is covering minimum 2 factories. Factories දෙකක් cover කරන්න ඕනේ. Each and every batch of DC product should go to small sample. 2 samples are taken by CDA every day. හැමදාම පොල් sample දෙකක් ගෙනිනවා from each and every factory to CDA. For some adhikariයට. They do keep them, those samples, until it reached destination country. A නිෂ්පාදනය ඒ batch එක අපනයනේ කෙළවර දක්වා ළඟා වෙනවා. ඒ රටට ළඟා වෙලා බාර ගන්නකම මේ sample දෙක තියෙනවා CDA. If for any inquiry, they will produce this sample. That is responsibility. That is why no any outcomer visitor could visit to DC factory during the production process. කිසිම කෙනෙකුට ඇතුල් වෙන්න බෑ DC factory එකට බලන්න without having the permission of CDA. Only educational purpose anyone can visit, but under the permission of CDA. What's the reason? You know, our grandma or mothers, what they did while they are cooking rice. But we had our mother, grandma, while they are preparing rice, cooking, if it is overcooked, if the rice is overcooked, but a rosunat, what they do? They just split a fresh coconut. Take 1/2 or 2 halves and put into that rice pot and cover it up. It keep for 5 hours, more than 5 minutes. විනාඩි 5ක විතර තියෙනවා. බතර රොස්සුනොත් පොල් ගෙඩිය බිඳලා බෑ දෙකක් අරගෙන පොල් බත් එක ඇතුළේ දාලා වහලා තියෙනවා. What's the purpose? That overcooked smell is absorbed to that coconut kernel. You can easily remove that unpleasant smell of rice. How? It has absorbed to coconut kernel. What does that say? Coconut kernel, pressed kernel can absorb any surrounding smell. That is why in a DC factory, if possible, I will send a video. My video akkiwanna. Internal students, we are having field trips. Me subject එක cover කරලා internal ite. අපි subject එක intense in coconut production කියලා. Field visit, factory visit එකක් තියෙනවා whole day. So I will send some short video. Then you can see in a DC factory there are 2 sections. I will explain in 10 steps. Pure the විස්තර කරනවා. First couple of steps we name them as wet section. DC factories having 2 sections. wet section, dry section. Wet, teta, dry, vielu. Wet mean first 5-6 steps. That is with water. Dry section is completely separated from the wet section. Dry section mean after drying the kernel, sifting, grading, packing, and so on. In the dry section is very restricted. No one can visit. Even the laborers or working force of wet section can't move to the dry section, even in the same factory. එකම factory in තෙත් පැත්තේ ඉන්න කට්ටියට යන්න බෑ වීලි පැත්තට. It will absorb this smell and some other contamination. Not only absorb, contamination, microbes contamination, microbial contamination. So that is why strict hygienic conditions. Now we can see Sri Lankan DC has fetched a tremendous demand all over the world. It is pure white taste and aroma. Then you can see DC manufacturing procedure. Hereafter, please follow up 10 steps very carefully. Number 1, seasoning. The first step of DC is seasoning. What is seasoning? In Sinhala padam kirima, padam karanawa. Seasoning. What really we do? Mature harvested nuts are stored for the exam. What is seasoning? Mature harvested nuts are stored for 3 to 6 weeks. Mature, we do only take mature nuts, not undermature. On the modern pole, harvested nuts are stored for 3 to 6 weeks. Sati tunak hayak අපි ගොඩ ගහලා තියෙනවා. Stored for 3 to 6 weeks. Iriya padam කරනවා කියලා. Minimum 3 weeks, maximum 6 weeks. Why? To complete seasoning, it needs 3 weeks. If you keep more than 6 weeks, what will happen? Germination will happen. That is not good. They are not taken for DC. That is why, what is the purpose of seasoning? You know. Then when you are using coconut in the kitchen, if the nut is dry, too dry, or if you are taking a very dry nut, what happens? You can't disintegrate. You can't grate coconut, polgan the bear. You can't scrape coconut, polgan the bear. Why? The kernel detached from the cell. But in the DC process, it should be there. DC the kernel should be detached from the cell. That will happen after 3 weeks. That is why, what the purpose? Facilitates cell removal during hatcheting. Hatcheting means removal of the cell. Hatchet karna kena pol katu ain karna. So you can easily remove the cell once you keep it for 3 weeks. Is that clear? So here you should know what is seasoning and what is the purpose of seasoning. Seasoning is keeping nuts for 3 to 6 weeks. But the purpose is convenient or easy removal of cell during hatcheting. Hatcheting means removal of the cell. So as well, it improves the quality of DC. And what happened to the husk? Green color husk turned into brown. So first step we discuss. The second step after seasoning, we do dehusking. Dehusking. You know, husk means pollella, D means removal. Removal. whenever for any verb ඕනෑම ක්‍රියාපදයකට if de come in, that mean removal. ඉවත් කරනවා. එහෙනම් de husking කියන්නේ removal of husk. කුකුලෙක් ගත්තොත් in the case of cock, chicken, de feathering mean removal of feathers. Small chick කුකුල් බැලිගේ de beaking කියොත් beak කියන්නේ හොට ඉවත් කරනවා. හොට කපනවා de beaking. So now you know what is de. De mean removal. So now you can see this person is removing the coconut husk, remove the husk. This is the dehusk nut. So that is dehusking. Dehusking means removal of husk from the cell. පොල් ගෙඩියෙන් කටුවෙන් ලෙල්ල ඉවත් කරනවා. It can be done manually. You can see here the person is manual doing that one, as well as it can be done mechanically. යාන්ත්‍රික මැෂින් වලින් කරන්න පුළුවන්. But you should know here what is the capacity of dehusking. Normally, I can see. Normally, this net round 2,000 to 2,500 nuts per person per day. Average. Normally, 2,000 to 2,500 nuts per day. You should know this one. And the cost is 3 rupees per nut, approximately. Please know not this one. You should know in the exam. The cost is 3 rupees per nut. Normally, one person can dehusk 2,000 to 2,500 nuts per person per day. That's very much. We should know this one. Then, now we discuss about dehusking. The next step is hatcheting. Normally, please see here in Sri Lankan conditions, the first 2 steps here. Number 1, seasoning is done by the grower. ලංකාවේ පොල් නිෂ්පාදකයා වගා කරව තමයි season කරන්නේ. එයා ගෙදර. Then normally they do dehusking. එයාලා තමයි dehusk කරන්නේ. After that, they provide that to the factory. Factory එක මේක දෙනවා. Factory මේක දෙනවා. Therefore, you can see here, now the husk nuts have been transported to the factory. But please make sure, once during dehusking, at once you do dehusking, you have to cover it up. You have to cover it up from sunlight. Cover. Otherwise, within 2-3 minutes, it will crack. Crack. That is why you can see, even during transporting, you have to carefully transport. Unloading, you can see here, they don't do unload to the hard floor. They provide coconut tons unload karani. Just after that, they are doing covering until they are taken for hatcheting. Never take a crack nut for DC. Bidicca polgediac DC ganne, it is contaminated by microbes. Then you can do hatcheting. That is why nuts are inspected and counted. Haritam Balno. What they do. You should know in the exam what are the rejections in DC. DC were the reject nuts monoade. Number 1, spoiled nuts, kunvecheva, cracked nuts and spoiled nuts, germinated nuts, and very small nuts. Small nuts powdery processed less than this inches perimeter circumference. So please make note what are the rejections in DC. Cracked, spoiled, germinated, and small nuts. Then selected nuts are transported to hatcheting pens. They're very much important. Is stored on the ground under cover of palm leaves for use later in the day. Always, you never allow expose to sunlight. Dehusked nut. Dehusked nuts could not be exposed to sunlight. Dehusked nut could not be exposed to sunlight. Lella ivat kala polgediyak irawata tiyanna bෑ. Then it cracked immediately. Then it cannot be taken for DC, only for copra. Copra is like DC. Then, now so far you know 3 steps. Number 1, seasoning. Number 2, dehusking. Number 2, hatcheting. So hatcheting mean what? Removal. Now you can see. So hatcheting mean what? Cells during hatcheting, cells are removed by hatchets. Hatchet can put it. This is a hatchet, small axe. Small axe hatchet. That is manual hatcheting. This is mechanical hatcheting. Spine wheel. This is running, it's in a motor. Very carefully they should be do. So this is the removal by mechanical hatcheting. This is manual hatcheting. So what they do? In hatcheting, cells are removed by hatchets. And an experienced hatcheter may sell 115 to 300 nuts per hour. 115 to 3,000 nuts per hour. That means you can multiply it by at least 8. That means 2,500. Then removed cells are used to produce charcoal. So these cells may polkatu abhi pavichchi karanawa to produce charcoal. Angur hadan. These cell nuts put into a wire basket for pairing. After removing the cell, they put that, carefully observe, this wire basket. You can see here, may wire basket they are put, throw it to this wire basket. This is the outside of the battery. This is inside. So after removing the husk, after removing the cell, they put into this basket. That is for what? The next step. Pairing. In Sinhala, කුරුට්ට ඉවත් කිරීම. Fairing කියන්නේ කුරුට්ට ඉවත් කරනවා. You can see here removal of testa. Testa mean seed cover, brown color testa, diburu pada kurutta. You have to remove. Why? You have to take the white, pure white color DC. There should not be even a single piece of testa. That is the main problem of DC. There should not be even a single brown color piece. So removal of testa, normally it is done by women. It's all pairing knife piece there. Same rate. Pairers and hatcheters work as a team. One hatcheter, one pair. Same rate. You can see here. Now, this person is a hatcheter. These are the hatcheters. Inside you can see women. 1, 2, 3, these are the women. So one hatcheter, one woman. This is for hatcheting, this is for pairing. This is for hatcheting, this is for pairing. Likewise, you can see here, pairers and hatcheters are work as a team. The expert pairer can maintain the same rate as a hatcheter. They are working. And paired nuts are split open. After that, what they do? Now, no test, no cell, no pairing, no tester. So they just open and remove the coconut water. Nuts are split open to drain coconut water before washing. Now they don't waste coconut water. Any factory, they don't remove out. They don't throw it out. Now coconut water is directly exported. Then not all factories, some factories. So small factories, what they do? They collect and transport to large factories. For example, I can't say in a lecture who are the large exporters, large scale, commercial scale exporters. They do export coconut water. For small factories, they collect hygienically coconut water and transport to large factories. Then fairings, brown color tester, fall to the floor, removed for drying oil extraction. Even that pairing used for oil extraction. We name them as crude oil. In Sinhala, kurutel. You can see here. So this is the brown color one. So they do, this is the pairing knife. This is the pairing knife. This is the mechanical pairing. This is manual pairing. So they do, you can see here, these are the fairings. So they do collect and dry in yard, Velanova, for oil extraction. The next step is washing, inspection, and trimming. So far we discussed seasoning, dehusking, hatcheting, pairing. Finish 4 steps. The 5th step, passeni pevara, washing, inspection, and trimming. You can see here, this is white color. Now no more brown color. This is thoroughly washed in chlorinated water. Chlorine වලින් තියෙන මිශ්‍ර කරපු වතුර තමයි හොදන්නේ. These are all galvanized or stainless steel containers. Galvanized containers වල මේ භාවිත කරන්නේ stainless steel වල නොකන වාහන වල. So repeated washing. The first tank, you can see here, first tank, second tank, and so on. Repeated washing. And inspection. What is inspection? Still they check any brown color remaining. If it is found, they do trimming, remove those parts, trim. Now you can see here, paired kernel is washed manually, chlorinated water contained in a series of tanks. Then tanks are either galvanized or stainless steel. Then, as I mentioned, washing is repeated. End of the washing, kernel is inspected, trimmed any blemishes or remaining tester. Then after that, cut into 3 sections. A single nut cut into 3 sections. Whole nut carry through the kapana 3 to 4. Final wash and for final washing. The next step is blanching. Blanching. The sixth step, blanching. What do you mean by blanching? In Sinhala, Subrikaranaya. Subrikaranaya. Blanching. Subrikaranaya. What does that mean? Immerse in boiled water. Natana vatura gillanava. Immerse, dip in boiled water. For what? Disinfection. Jivan varne kanda. Bisa bijanati karanda. To kill all microbes. Sudha jiva kamaranda. Blanching is a very critical step in DC. So what is the temperature? What is the time? Very much important. Please read this one. What is blanching? Immerse the kernel in boiling water. Immerse. Gillanwa natana vature. What is the temperature? More than 95 degrees Celsius. That means boiling water. That means 100. Then what is the minimum time? 90 seconds. Tappara anuwa kaniwaren tiyenna. Not more than, not less than. Now, the water is heated by, so boiled water is heated by a hot flue gas. Blanch is normally using a conveyor. It is centrally located auger conveyor, kernel feed hopper, and discharge port. What they do, you can see here. This is the, you can see here, this is the blanch. So manually loaded blanch. So what happened? This is the auger conveyor. May conveyor yati yanama. What happened? The auger speed, may conveyor speed not remain in this blanch minimum 90 seconds. That is the speed of conveyor belt auger. You can see the video, then you can easily understand. This is the auger type conveyor. Now you can see the speed of the conveyor is fixed to ensure that kernel immerses boiling water for minimum period of 90 seconds, as I mentioned. During the blanching, the kernel loaded manually into the feed hopper. Blanch done manually. This is, you can see, manual load into blanch. Next one. Loaded kernels are transported by conveyor. Now you can see, now it is rotating and going forward. It is rotating and going forward. For what? Dissection. Now please see, as I mentioned, wet section is over. Wet section is over. So what are the stages of wet section? Number 1, seasoning is at home, no? In the factory. Seasoning and dehusking is in the normally grower's side. We transport dehusk nut. So in the factory, what is the first step? In the factory, first step, hatcheting. Second step, hatcheting means removal of cell. Second step, pairing, removal of tester. Third step, washing, inspection and trimming. Fourth step, blanching. In a factory, ඇතුලේ පියවර 4ක් තියෙන 4 steps in the wet section. Growers එකේ step 2යි, seasoning, dehusking. So far we completed 6 steps. Now we are starting dissection. What is dissection? This kernel is cut. Disintegrate means cut. into small pieces. That is disintegration. Disintegration means the first step of dissection. You can see here, this is the cutter. This is the cutter. It is rotating. By centrifugal force, kernel is cut into small pieces. You can see this is dissection. So in disintegration, what happened? Every component of this integrator made up of, this is stainless steel. The kernel transport by the blancher into the inlet hopper of the feed. Now from the blancher, it is coming to the disintegrator. Then what happened? Kernel is rapidly disintegrated. Within brackets, the cut. Disintegrated mean CUT. Cut. Kernel is rapidly cut due to action of centrifugal forces. Centrifugal forces. This is a circular blade. So this is the cutting edge. Centrifugal force going away from the center, that is cut. The next step is drying. Removal of the moisture. So normally you are using tray dryers or automated dryers. Temperature, please note, 80 to 105 Celsius. Time is 45 to 65 minutes. So capacity normal dryer 50 to 80 kilograms per hour. Dried kernel is cooled before sifting. Sifting means grading. Before that, it allowed to cool. Now you can see a dryer. So this is a dryer. This is a dryer. Normally current cost is 30 million. Samanya ada me dryer 30 million වෙනවා. කෝටි 3ක් වෙනවා. This is the FBD dryer. Fluidized bed dryer. Even you can see tea in a tea factory, they are having this one. Tea, same dryer. Earlier we had another dryer, endless plate dryer, ECP, endless chain plate, this one. It is not good, having some problems. But here, there are more normally two types of dryers, ECP dryer, fluidized bed dryer. ECP means endless chain pressure. That's a plates are there. It's a chain. Around the chain, small plates are there. That is moving. But here FBD mean fluidized bed dryer mean there's a fan blowers here. Hot air comes from the bottom. So it is using the blower. It is blown now. යටින් තියෙන fan එකක් මේක හැමලේ උඩට විසු කරනවා. As a cyclone. This is the fluidized action. So finally you can see here, this is the entrance, this is the outlet. So in the entrance you feed kernel, there is a blower and entry of hot air and press air. Hot air comes from the dryer, boiler. According to the temperature of the day, if it is a cool day, more hot air. If it is a dry day, less hot air, high press air. So you mix the ratio press air and hot air according to the, just as tea. So drying is done here. Finally, starting from here, it is coming outside around, you can see here, 1 hour, 45 to 1. They start the whole, a single piece will remain in the dryer 45 to 65 minutes. පොඩි පොල් කෑල්ලක් ගත්තොත් විනාඩි 45ක් 65ක් ඩයර් එක තුල ඇඳලා තියෙනවා under this temperature. That is why start from here, after 45 to 65 minutes it comes from the outlet. So this is the outlet. Now it is dried and coming out. Thereafter, the next step is sifting. Sifting means grading. Sifting means If you are not familiar, please write simply. Grading. Grading. What is grading? Classification of, you should know what is there. What is shifting or grading? Classification of diet करने according to size. प्रमाण नोवेन करना, grade करना, according to size. So they are using this type of oscillators. These are just like oscillators. You can see here. These are the YMS, different YMS made up of galvanized iron or stainless steel. So what they do, they are oscillating, shifting, oscillating. So these are the different sizes. The large particles remain here, small particles coming down to the next one. Likewise, different shifters are there. So they are moving like this way. You can see in the video. So classification kernel according to size. Oscillation rate mean how many times moving up and down, moving either side per minute very quickly. 162 and 50. Oscillation mean movement of this one. Oscillation mean moving one side. Like here, it is moving up and down. Capacities in here. Normally Sri Lankan grade DC grades are manufacturing. Then the last step is after grading, packing. 10th step, packing and export. Pack karna again, mukadde. You are putting in a bag. So you can see here. So these are the packing structures in Sri Lanka. Normally you can see these are paper bag. Inside you can see polythene line. Polythene line. Atul patin tina polythene neka elin tina bag. What should be mentioned in the bag? Bag ye mona tiyenone. Information. Number 1, country of origin, Ceylon. Still we are using the name not Sri Lanka, but Ceylon. Ceylon tea, Ceylon DC. Ceylon desiccated coconut. Then some numbers are there. Here you can see M79. That is a factory number given by Coconut Development Authority. Then the grade of coconut DC, fine grade. Then the number given by the CDA, this one. Then the gross weight with the bag, net weight 50 kilograms. And who is the exporter shipped by Renuka Agro exporter. So all these sort of information should be there. So you can see shifted, that means DC is packed in paper bags. Pitted is the high density polyethylene liner. Actually, polyethylene liner. Normally we are packing 50 kilograms, sometimes 25 or 20.5 small packs. But prior to filling, bags are labeled. Please make sure first they check bag very carefully whether they are clean. I don't clean the bag no. There should not be insects in the bag. Then bags are labeled as I mentioned. Country of origin, Ceylon. Country of origin, DC product grade, I mentioned. What is the grade? Fine grade. Then DC mill number, you can see here. Mill number M79. 79 is the number of the mill given by CDA. One factory has one number. Then date of manufacturer, code of shipper, and government code number. Government code number S115. Code of shipper, this one, and so on. So this information should be there. So now we have finished the steps of DC. Again, recall your memory. Seasoning, dehusking, hatcheting, fairing, washing, inspection and trimming, then blanching, disintegration, drying, grading, packing. 10 steps are there. You should know in detail. Now shall we see organoleptic evaluation of DC. Organoleptic. You know, in tea manufacturing, you may have done tea tasting. Tea testing. That is subjective to the tea taster. Tea podda bila balna raha kohomada. Here, in the case of DC evaluation, the quality of DC is tested. DC wala quality balanawa. How? Organoleptic organs. We are having sensory organs. අපේ තියෙන සංවේදන අවයව පහ. Number 1, touch, feel by fingers. Number 2, eye, vision, color. Then nose, nahaya, smell, suwanda, and so on. Likewise, you can see number 1 is a simple subjective based on experience, just like tea. So what we do? We test conducting taste, smell, visual, and feel. From eye, color. From fingers, feel. From nose, smell. From tongue, taste. Diven balna rasa. Hapala balna rasa. Suwanda balnawa. Paata balnawa. Alla balnawa. Denimiti. So in the exam, if I ask, if you explain the organoleptic evaluation of DC, you have to explain number 1, taste. You can just taste. Hapala balna. It should be fresh taste. Naum pollo rahama indoni. Fresh coconut taste. Amu pollo raha indoni. No soapy, rancid chemical or other flavors. Saban raha. Soapy can saban raha. Soap. Rancid can mudu. No rancid chemical or flavors. Smell suwanda. Fresh suwanda pollo suwanda indoni. No stale pilnu in the bag. Musty malakada suwanda. Visual, it should be white color and uniform granulation. Balapam sudu parvenna ekama size kabali tiyenna. Last one, feel. Dry and tree flowing. Mokada dry kiyanne? Atata allapama dry wenna one. Tel tiyenna bෑ. Ekapama no damp or greasy. Pol telenna bෑ. Teta wenna bෑ. If you just allow to fall down, udata aragana atarina freely flow. Not as a bulb. Not as a normally, you know, a small ball එකක මැදෙන්න බෑ freely flow හුලගේ ඉදහසේ වැටෙන්න ඕනේ particles, free flow particles. Then DC grades in Sri Lanka. Normally there are main 3 grades: extra fine, fine, and medium. In the exam I have asked what are the main 3 grades of DC. Extra fine means very small one, fine, medium, and medium. Some special cuts are they are called as fancy cuts, you know, plaques and so on. Now you can see what are they. This is the fine grade. Then plaque can carry corn flakes or coconut flakes, medium grade, and so on. Then what are the defects of process DC? Defects. Now we are going to discuss defects කියන්නේ හදපු DC වල තියෙන ගුණාත්මක තියෙන ගැටලු. You take 2 minutes break. විනාඩි 2ක වගේ break එකක් ගන්න. You can relax for 2 minutes and we will continue. අපි continue කරමු විනාඩි 2ක. So far we have come up with the defects of process DC. In the exam I have asked these defects in detail. What is the defect? What is the reason? මොකද්ද defect එක මොකද්ද හේතුව? copra and DC දෙකේම දැනගන්න ඕනේ. So please take 2-minute break. විනාඩි 2ක break එකක් ගන්න. poor quality. ගුණාත්මක තියෙන අඩුපාඩුව. Defects of process DC. DC හදලා ඉවරන් පස්සේ after process DC due to some mistakes during the production process නිෂ්පාදන ක්‍රියාවලියේ තියෙන ගැටලු හින්දා. Number 1, soapy flavor. Earlier we discussed what are the, you may remember, we discussed organoleptic evaluation. Tests are conducted in taste, smell and visual and feel. Here we mentioned taste should be clean and pest test. Now what happened? What is the quality defect here? Soapy flavor. Sabandha high. If you just eat, it is the taste of soap. Sabandha high. Soapy flavor. What is the reason? Due to enzymatic hydrolysis of coconut oil. In the DC, enzymatic hydrolysis. In single hydrolysis means jala vichedaniya. You know DC is a PET. Now PET has converted into fatty acid and glycerol. Glycerol hedla. Using enzymes. Release free fatty acids. What is the reason? The main problem is lauric acid. Is the main source of soapy flavor. Lauric acid hadila. What is the reason? Enzymes are reaction between microorganisms present in DC. DC or Sudrajiving in microorganism. What is the reason? Poor blanching. Harita blanching wala nahi. Poor blanching. Haritam blanching wala nahi. Poor blanching. Can you remember DC process we discussed? Immerse in boiled water. Minimum 90 seconds. Either low temperature or less time. So microbes are remain, survive. They will do soapy flavor. So that is why this can be minimized by good quality coconut and efficient blanching. Even we discuss rejections of DC. What are rejections? Cracked, spoiled, germinated, and so on. If you use that poor quality coconut, that also be reason. So soapy flavor, in the exam you should be able to describe. Second one, off odor, smell. What the reason? Insufficient care during storing. Stores you have to do carefully handle. Bags become wet. They can do musty odor. Tetala, temila, or either moist, and that moist is absorbed by DC. Then what happens? Musty odor. Malakade sudakin. Then greasy peel. Next problem. So what we are discussing here? Soapy flavor, off odor due to wetness, then greasy peel. You know greasy peel. Greasy peel due to release of oil. From DC, oil has come out. What is the reason? In this toast, you have put one bag over the other into very height. High is very stuck. You know, stuck mean what? In single, STS is stuck in active. Stuck in active. In a there should be maximum 10 number of bags in a stack. If you keep more than 10 bags, what happened? One bag over the other. So what happened? The lower bags are under pressure of the higher over bags, upper bags. පල්ලෙහාම තියෙන bag වලට මොකද වෙන්නේ? උඩ bag වල pressure එක එනවා. So oil come out. Oil එළියට එනවා. That is why excessive bag stacking pressure. excessive during prolonged storage and high ambient temperature condition දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එකක් back pressure එකක් ගොඩක් කල් තියෙන එක අනික උෂ්ණත්වය වැඩි. Under very high temperature for a long time period you keep more than number of bags, one or the other. Next, last one, discoloration. Now we are going to discuss the last one, discoloration. It is we are discussing detail. Different colors are there. According to the color, reason may be vary. Discoloration හරියට බලාගන්න exam එකේ මේ subject එක tough. හරියට බලාගන්න ඕනේ. Discoloration වර්ග හතරක් තියෙනවා. Number 1, grayish discoloration. Gray, අලු පාට. What the reason? Absorption of flue gases or smoke. We discussed drying process. In a DC factory, there is a boiler. Water steam to produce steam for drying. Then normally, what is the fuel? Coconut charcoal. Or either diesel or furnace oil. Boiler should be some far away, as in the only. So using tubes. That the smoke absorb through tubes, it is sent into the factory. Drying component again. Then what happened? If any leakages of the tubes, then these gases and smoke absorbed by the DC. Then what happened? Grayish discoloration. Second one, yellowish discoloration. Kaha part make the major quality, but in the exam I will ask what is the major discoloration of DC. Pradhan DC discoloration yellow color. What is the reason? Same, you are keeping much time in the storage under very high temperature. High temperature, you are storing much time. Then what happened? Sugar and amino acids, they are doing reactions. C නිසා amino amla. අපි කියන non-enzymatic browning කියලා. Non-enzymatic browning. Enzyme නෝන දුබුරු භාග හැරෙනවා. That's the main problem. So you can't store DC for a long time. Next one. You should know how to overcome this one. Use press nut, optimum maturity, maximum yield, and minimum sugar. Reason is natural sugar and amino acid. Normally, can you remember? Young coconut, kurumba, more tasty. Sweet. Why? More sugar. With the maturity of coconut, it is not sweet. Why? Sugar content comes down. That is why in DC, sugar content should be low. That is why you have to take mature coconut. Otherwise, high sugar. That is why optimum maturity to ensure maximum yield and minimum sugar content. And rapid processing, you have to do after dehusking, take for processing very quickly. Other one, washing, thoroughly washing high pressure water, and minimum storage. Storage aduma window. You can't store for a long time. Third one, so far we discussed grayish discoloration and yellowish. Other one, yellowish brown. That is brown. Duburu part vela. Yantan kaha part dena. Sharing of part adequate control dynamo. Emakada dini. Pichila. Sharing can pichila. Direct was not the very vela. Over temperature during drying. Uncontrolled. Last. So these are the three types of coloring. We have discussed grayish, yellowish, and yellowish brown. You should know the reason and you should be able to explain. Finally, we are going to discuss quality control of DC. අපි කියනවා critical control points of DC manufacturing. අපි කියන HACCP කියලා. You have done in T and other props. HACCP, HACCP, hazard control at critical control point. That is ISO 22000, HACCP. You can see that's a certification required for export. What you are doing in HACCP, from beginning up to end, each and every step, you care on quality. You check and reject. Poor quality ones. පැහැදිලිද? HACCP කියන්නේ critical control point කියන්නේ නිෂ්පාදනයේ හැම පියවරකම quality එක ගැන බලනවා, නුසුදුසු සේවා ඉවත් කරනවා. Now what is the first step? Resin of coconut. So what is the hazard? Spoiling. ලැබෙන පොල් කුණු වෙලා. So what do you do? Visual inspection and rejection. And only select wood done. බලලා තමයි පොල් ගන්නෙ. Inspect කරලා. Second step, counting and storing. There is spoilage, immature, germinated ඔක්කොම අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ. Same principle. Next one, selling. That means hatcheting. Selling can hatcheting. What is the hazard? Sell pieces inserted white meat. For how to carry madhya to gilla. So what is the control? Awareness of workers. Several inspection points to avoid contamination. Then pairing. What is the problem? Hazard? Pairing pieces can remain white kernel. For the so you have to remove. Washing. Some contaminants are there, so properly treated washing. Likewise, all parts you can do inspection. You can read them. Finally, what are the standard requirement of DC for export? Export ගුණාත්මක standard කියන සම්මත. In DC, color should be natural white. පාට සුදු පාට වෙන්න ඕනේ. Taste and smell should be sweet, pleasant and free from cheesy, smoky, soapy and sour. කිසිම වෙන පාටක් වෙනසක් තියෙන්න බෑ. Smell සහ සුවඳ. Moisture, please underline this. I will ask in the exam. The moisture should not exceed 3%. So DC, I have asked in MCQ question. You have to maintain DC at 3% moisture, less than 3%. In Pensicus, 3.5. Normal grades, 3%. Normally copra, 6%. Fiber, 21%. You should know each and every. Copra, 6%. They know. DC will only 3%. Oil content and so on. Then what are the byproducts of DC? You know what is byproduct? Aturupala. Aturupala. Main product is DC. Now you can see. Can you remember the 10 steps? First, we remove the husk. So, what is the byproduct? This is the coconut husk. You can prepare pipe. After that, you remove the during hatcheting, remove the cell. So what you can do? Coconut cell. You can prepare charcoal activated carbon. After that, you remove the pairing. Brown color layer. You can prepare coconut oil, crude oil. Last one, once you cut the nut, you can now water. So coconut water and wash water. Wash water also you can use for byproducts. So what are the uses of DC? අපි DC මොකද භාවිත කරන්නේ? Widely used in bakery and confectionery. Bakery නිෂ්පාදන, රසකැවිලි, texture, flavor, aroma, fillers, toppings and so on. Cakes, cookies, you can see here. So this is DC. This is DC, as it is. Toppings. Then what you can read. I am not going to discuss in detail these parts. What are the health benefits of DC? Health benefits. Health. Nutritive value. That is rich, saturated fat, no cholesterol, good source of dietary fiber. Good source of dietary fiber. That's a mede aharya. Cholesterol නැති. Lauric acid in DC, antiviral. It acts against virus, antibacterial against bacteria, antiprotozoal, and antimicrobial. සුද්ධ ජීවීන්ට විරුද්ධව ක්‍රියා කරන ආහාරය. So you can read this one. So far now we have completed DC. අපි මේ වෙනකොට DC ඉවර කරලා ඉවරයි. First and foremost product is DC. Now we are moving to copra, our second product. Copra. Processing of copra. Here you can see that is very simple one. All of copra देखा दिए ना. Very simple product. Copra. In Sri Lanka, our traditional product is copra, but we don't use much hygiene. Copra इच्चे लोग hygiene ने करने. It can be used in domestic level also, not like DC. Domestic level को अभी पार्ट करना बोलूँगा. Now we can see processing of copra. What is the main purpose of copra? To extract coconut oil. පොතල් ගන්න copra හදන්නේ. Normally we directly export copra. අපි copra හැදිනවා අපනේ නේ කරනවා. Or either we produce copra and extract oil. පොතල් ගන්න. Now you can see this is very simple. Copra කියන්නේ dried meat or dried kernel used to extract coconut oil, but not white color. Or copra maximum white color is 82%. DC now 100% white. Copra maximum 82%, around 80%. Normally, what we have to do in copra, as I mentioned, you have to dry. Why? Normally, pressed coconut is having 50 to 50%, 5% moisture. सामान्य पोलोजन 50% You have to reduce that up to 5 to 6%. That's why I mentioned in the case of DC 3% moisture. In the case of copra, maximum 6% moisture. You are reduced. That is why you are doing drying. Normally, copra we name as edible copra. It can be used as a food item. There are two types: boiled copra and cup copra. Boiled copra can kottapol. In Sri Lanka, that's not a commercial product. Boiled copra mean the whole nut as a single unit. Cup copra mean you can split into two. That is our commercial product. Already dekar bidara gatta piriya copra kiya. Dias cup copra kiyan ekata. Now, boiled copra I am not going to discuss here. Normally, once you keep coconuts for 8 to 12 months in shed, then cell detached from the kernel, detached from the cell. Kottapol kiyan ekat gudupol kiyan. So you can keep inside the test in a platform. Water absorb, kernel dries out, kernel loosen. Rattle. When shaken, rattle. Sadhya kaheno. So nuts. Then you can dehusk. Remove the husk. Then carefully remove the cell. Cell carefully removed to separate whole dry kernel. That's called as boiled copra. This is the way. This is the boiled copra as a single. So it is soft, sweet, oily, and creamy. That is normally used in as a dessert or some religious purpose. Our topic is milling copra. That is cup copra. Milling copra means cup copra. That's the commercial product. Where you can see here, what we are doing, we can harvest the nuts first. That also heat at least for 4 weeks. Then splitting, dehusking, then splitting, sun drying, placed on a platform, fire setting, unloading, and so on. I will explain this one. Show you. Is this step. For copra also, the first step is you have to do husking. That means dehusking. Thereafter, you do splitting the nut. So you keep it for sun drying per day. Early morning before 7, you have to do splitting. Then for the first day, you keep it under hot sun throughout the day. First 1 or 2 hours inverted to remove all coconut water. Thereafter, paste into sunlight. In the evening, what do we do? Stacking on a platform. That is smoking shed. Called Massarian. Then what you do? Below the shed, that is a shallow pit. Made in a wala. Wala udah tamara tiene platform එක. මේ අපි කතා කරන්නේ copper messක් ගැන. We are discussing on drying set of copra. So below the shallow pit, around 1 meter distance, they are stacking coconut cells. මේ පොල්කටු අමුලා තියෙන්නේ. දිගටම එකට තියා තියෙන්නේ. What they do? They do fire from one corner. එක කෙරවලකින් මෙතන පත්තු කරනවා. They do firing. This fire will end around 4 to 5 hours, reach to this other end. අනික් කෙරවලට එනවා පැය 4-5ක් යනවා. That is one firing cycle. Normally, in a single batch, you do 7 to 8 smoking. We name it as smoking. අපි smoking කරනවා 7 to 8 times for 5 days. දවස් 5ක් විතර මේක පත්තු කරනවා. You can read. In the third day, තුන්වෙනි දවසේ, we are turning. Third up and normally here you can see you are stacking. Now what happened during stacking? Upper coconut cells does not have enough heat. At the bottom, they take much heat. To control even smoking, what you do? You are turning. You are turning. And remove after the third day, you can remove the cell using a spike. Finally, sorting and drying. Now I will explain one by one. Number 1, seasoning. Same as earlier, copra. Nuts are stored. How many times? 3 to 4 weeks. That's enough. Not wait to 6 weeks. Satituna khatarak seasoning period. For DC, how many weeks? 3 to 6 weeks. Thereafter, dehusking. Same as earlier. You have to experience worker can dehusk 1,500, 2,000, 2,000, 2,500 nuts per day. Then dehusking. Next one, nut is splitting. Early morning, you have to split house using a heavy knife for small axe. The water inside the nut drain off. Normally, what is the capacity? Still worker can split up to 7,000 nuts a day. දවසකට පුළුවන් nuts 7,000ක් වගේ split කරන්න. Most, please underline. After splitting the nut for copra, maximum time duration 4 hours. Within 4 hours, it should be taken for processing. You can't keep more than 4 hours. Then contamination by different fungi. That is why, please underline, I have asked in the exam For getting a good quality copra, it is simple that the split nuts taken protein within 4 hours. It then not happen. If you keep more than 4 hours, white color reduce, black color develop, finally red color develop. You can experience. You can split press coconut. Now you can keep it normal environment. Open air. Open air test. What is the first color fungi? Second color fungi. Third color. Fungi hayak kenoa. Dilira hayak kenoa. Different colors. Black, white, grey, yellow, green, okkamati. I will ask in the exam. One by one. That is why within 4 hours you have to take. Now you can see what would happen. Split nuts kept invert 1 to 2 hours under sun to drain out water completely. This is very much important. Delay more than 4 hours. Paya hataradi parak punot encourages bacterial growth. Bacteria fungal dekamenawa. Then what happened? Don't cram this. May table table ke mahanne. But don't cram this table. But you can understand. Effect of preliminary delays on quality of copra. Copra delay. Number 1, first column, delay period before drying, nil. That means just after splitting you are taking. What is the maximum white color? I mentioned 82%. So if I just ask, what is the maximum color, white color index in copra? 82%. Automatically discolored 18%, but not red. If you delay 2 hours, white color reduced by 2%. Discoloring increased by 2%. Likewise, 3 hours reduced by 7%. Now you can see, for instance, 12 hours. What happened? 12 hours mean the white color reduced up to 36%. Then before that, if you delay 6 hours after splitting, you didn't process copra. Then what happened? White color reduced up to 70% and 29% discolor, and first time red color develop 1%. That's the very worst incident. Likewise, if you delay 48 hours, 2 days, what happened? No more white color. Totally red color 83% and different color, discolor 70%. Then copra drying. You can see here in copra drying, that is very much important. I will ask in the exam. You are not allowed to continue drying. Drying cycles. Now I will give you one example. In snack processing, you know rolls and cutlet and patties. Rolls, cutlet and patties. How it is processing? Rolls cutlet patties. You are taking a food material, potato or meat, whatever, salmon or something, and it is wrapped in biscuit powder or whatever the flour material. Make a wrap karana piti wali. Then you put in deep frying. Gyambur tele badino. Deep frying. What would happen? Wrapping outer cover get fried. Inner food material get cooked. Inner food material get cooked. It is not fried. Actually, තියෙන කෑම වර්ග ඉදෙනවා විතරයි. Boil. Outer cover get fried. hard texture. Bedino. That is the quality you expect from cutlet patties so raws. What's the reason? During deep frying, continuous deep frying, first of all, outer layer get dried, bedino. It control inner moisture come out. ඇතුලෙන් එළියට එන්න දෙන්නේ waterproof layer. That is also happen if you do continuous drying of copra. Copra එක දිගට වේලුවොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? In the coconut kernel, coconut shell, coconut cup, outer layer get dried, inner moisture remain. ඇතුලේ තෙතමන ඉතුරු වෙනවා. That is why you are drying coconut, smoke drying 5 days, every 5 hour drying, around 5 hour cooling. Step by step, you are taking water out. During cooling period, inner water comes out. That water you remove, like 7-8 times. I last in the exam, you should be able to explain. It is given here, please read. The mark concentration, gradient, moisture and other major different regions, wet coconut kernel, where inner, middle and outer tester. Outer tester කියන්නේ කටුව පැත්තේ. Inner කියන්නේ පොල් අතුරු තියෙන පැත්තේ. So water removal happen from the inner side. That is why in the process of drying, surplus moisture inner in the exposed portion is the split nuts rapidly lost. Migration of moisture from the inner region taken place. That is why capillary movement and diffusion. So you have to do not continuous drying. Now please see methods of drying of copra. Small scale, you are doing sun drying. අපි sun drying කරනවා. Small scale. In the commercial scale, we are doing smoke drying. Dungasano. Advanced scale, hot air dryers, but that's expensive. Normally in Sri Lanka, commercially we are doing smoke drying. Small scale, domestic level, we are doing sun drying. Now please see one by one. Sun drying. Very simple, most popular, simplest method. Cups are laid down in the yard, open side turn sun, After about 2 days, what happened? Kernel detached from meat can kernel, detached from the cell. So you can scoop out using a wooden lever. You can remove the kernel from the cell and continue. Again in a yard, further drying, after 4 to 5 days, you can process copra. But what is the problem? There should not be rain. Otherwise it is contaminated. That is why copra should be covered during the night. That's very much important. Please remember, if you do sun drying, when sun is not in the night, it should be covered. Otherwise moisture may absorb. So continuous drying should be obtained good quality copra. There are rainy days, very poor quality copra. Our commercial method is smoke drying by direct heat, kern cannibal copper mass. Suitable during rainy season, and you are putting shallow pits. In the shallow pit, you arrange the smoke, fire, keeping the nuts over their platform. So there's a wooden platform, nuts cups are arranged, 4 layers. So hot air passes through these nuts. This is very, don't cram. What you should know, working program of copra. If I just ask, you should know. Day first, early morning, split nut. That's why I said before 7. All over the day, sunshine. From 4:30 to 5, you are transferring to the smoking yard. Smoking yard is stuck. So 5.5 hours first firing. Now 10:30 allowed to cooling. That's why I mentioned not continue. Second day, early morning 2 a.m. How many hours cooling? 3.5 hours. Then another 5 hours second firing. Again turning the copra. Then third firing, another 5 hours. Again cooling. Third day, 4-hour cooling. Likewise, fourth firing. After fourth firing, you can remove the cell and continue cooling and firing up to 5 days. After that, normally you are turning 2 times. And at last 5 days, you can unload. So this is the working program of copra. What you have caught here, not continuous time. Normally 5-hour firing, 5-hour firing, and 3.5 or 4-hour cooling. 2 times you are turning. On the third day, normally you are removing the cell. That's all. Then modern copra dyes I am not going to discuss here. Then storage of copra. Normally, the main problem is mold or fungi development. Normally stacked in gunny bags. Sometimes, mostly we are doing sulfuring. We are fumigation to control fungi. You fumigate, duma karne karno, using sulfur to control fungi. In Sri Lanka, we are doing that for cinnamon and copra. Cinnamon is made of fungi. Then the quality of copra. Can you remember we discussed about DC, soapy flavor, discoloration, greasy peel. These are the quality details. Discolorations we discussed 3. Gray color, yellowish brown. Like here, quality of copra. You can see there are some problems in copra also. Number 1, rubberize. Rubber copra kila. What do you mean by rubberize? Rubberize mean normally the copra is, if you just take copra, it should be hard. But if it is just like flexible, that means rubberized copra. Copra by after processing, that is rubberized copra. Endosperm of the unripe nuts produce. What is the reason? Unripe nuts. You have taken under-mature coconuts to produce copra. Under-mature coconut. So what is the then difficult to dry? Poor oil extraction and oil cannot be kept for a long time. Rubberized copra. During the storage, rapid and extra moisture. Sometimes in the coconut estates, if not enough sulfur in the land, coconut tree, that also produce rubberized copra. What's the problem here? Oil extracted from rubbery copra. Rubbery copra dengan tel mo kadibenne. Poor oil content, tel pramane less oil content, then high moisture, high sugar, nitrogen, fatty acid is high, you can't keep it for a long time. Second problem, case hardening. 3 quality problems are there. Number 1, rubberize. Number 2, case hardening. Number 3, charring. Case hardening kiyanne, the initial temperature is very high. So what happened? Now copra has become as I mentioned, cutlet, rolls or patties. Case hardening. Pita velila ඇතුළේ තෙතයි. Outer layer is dried, but inner moisture remains. That's the case hardening. You can see here, upon pouring kernels and hot air dryers, initial drying temperature is too high. If the initial temperature is too high, then case hardening. That is why very much important. So it prevents moisture interior meat from diffusing outside. Actually, water inner water does not come out. Case hardened copra develops hard, smooth, covering a wet core. Inner side is wet. To overcome case hardening, what we are do? You should not exceed initial temperature over Celsius, 70 Celsius. Maximum temperature should be 70. Normally, sunshine and smoke drying, that should not happen. Especially happen hot air dryers. Sunshine never happen. Case hardening. Sometimes smoking, if you use much fire, that will happen. So maximum temperature during initial stage should be 70. Gradually reduce up to 60 and at last 45 to 50. Last quality problem, charring. Charring can anguru vela, pichila. What the reason? Final temperature is too high. As I mentioned here, starting from 70, end up with 45, 50. But if you start from 70, if it is more than 80, 90, then charring should be maybe there. Charring means overheating during the final stage. Overheating during final stage. Overheating. So copra become dark brown, wrinkle and crack and burnt odor. You can see burnt odor. Pichila wrinkle, akilila, crack, pipilla dark brown, not white color. So oil also same odor. Problem is that resulting oil also same odor. That's the main problem. To overcome this one, normally you have to take the good quality mature and prevent this. And what is the moisture maximum? 6%. Now DC 3%. Copra 6%. Copra deterioration, that's I had just like DC. What happened here? Fungi and the bacteria. Now you can see this one. Types of mold in copra. Copra has a mold. Mold means fungi. I will write it, then you can easily understand. Types of fungi. That means delete. Number one, Rhizoctonia. You can see here. Bacteria and these are starting. Rhizoctonia, you can see. Now you can see. Can you remember I told you? You can split open the coconut and keep it open in an open air. Number one, Rhizoctonia. What is the color? White color. White color. White color molds develop in the wet core. You can see there. White color molds. That is what is the now you should know in the exam what is the type of mold in white color. That is Rhizoctonia. That's the first mold develop. So what is the reason? Destroy very high percentage of oil. That is why you should avoid fungal formation of copra. If fungal formation means they destroy oil, less oil could be taken. That's why you can see infected meat produce oil with a high percentage free fatty acid. Second one, Aspergillus niger. Second mold, Aspergillus. What is the second color? Black mold. So first one white, this one black. So considerable loss of oil, 40% of oil reduced. ලැබෙන තෙල් වලින් 40%ක්ම නාස්ති කරනවා, අයින් කරනවා. What is the temperature? Moisture 18 to 20%. Now you can see the understand the reason, no? What I mentioned earlier. What should be the moisture in process copra? Copra moisture 6%. But here what happened? You have not dried it properly. 18 to 60% moisture is there. That is why fungal may grow. Even 12% it can be grow. Third one, Aspergillus flavus. That's the most dangerous one. That is brown color. Brown color. Earlier white, then black, then brown. That's the most serious all groups. If I ask in the exam, the most serious fungi attack to copra is Aspergillus flavus. In which temperature it will go? You can see here. It grow 8 to 12% moisture. Even at 8% it can be grow. So essentially you have to control moisture less than 6%. Next one. You can see here. Penicillium glucum. Green color one. Green color mold. But that is not much harmful. Commonly found in copra. On copra colapata pusakadeno. Even under low moisture. But entirely superficial. Alien DNA, superficial alien DNA as a layer. You can remove by sweeping, brushing. Simple brushing. If you just take the copra, outer layer, this fungi is there. So you can brush and remove. Not much harmful. But even very low temperature, moisture, even very low moisture content, this penicillium will do not danger. Even 6-7 moisture it can go, but not affect quality. No problem. Last one, Aspergillus tamari. That's yellow color one. Same as earlier, not much damage. Then copra grading system. We discuss the grading of quality of DC, color, and so on. Here copra grading normally, you can see this way. 5 factors we are taking. Number 1, average color. Maximum white color 4 marks. Once it reduce means 0. Condition, large, thick, 3 marks. Rubbery, 0. Don't cram this grade system. Then very clean, 4 marks. Rotten, kunvelana, 0. Sweet, 4 marks. Rancid, burn, pichila, mugrana, 0. Last one, dryness, 4%. 6% mean maximum marks. Once you increase the moisture, reduce marks. Then standard, specific copra. You know, moisture is the most important. Grade 1, 2, 3, moisture should be maximum 6%. Others you can see the grade 2, 3, what happened? Moldy cups, fungi. Here 0, here 4% and 8%. So we completed copra. The we have completed 2 items, DC and copra. Next we are moving coconut oil. Coconut oil world. You can take a tea break for 5 minutes. Tea break. Then we will continue with coconut oil. Normally, you know, coconut oil is extracted from the kernel of mature coconuts. Coconut conventional. Here you can see coconut oil conventionally, sampradayikava. We can extract it from kernel of mature coconuts. Oil is used, you know, coconut oil, our main food item. We use various applications. You should know one thing, most important thing. The smoking point of coconut oil. You know, coconut oil is an excellent cooking and frying oil. We understand badinda ganni. The smoke point is about 360 Fahrenheit or 180 Celsius. This is very much important. Why? What is the boiling temperature of water? 100 Celsius. Jare natani Celsius CA. But coconut oil boils at 180 Celsius. It is very advantageous. Why? Not only copra වලින් විතරක් නෙමෙයි. Even from coconut milk, පොල් කිරි වලින්, coconut oil can be taken. Normally our mothers, grandmothers, what they did, they prepared coconut oil at home. How did they prepare? They scrape number of coconuts, 1, 2 or 3. Put some water, prepare coconut milk, they gradually boil it for 5-6 hours. That's called as kitchen method of oil extraction. Kitchen method. So what happened? What happens there? Coconut milk is an emulsion. Pol kiri kiyanne emulsion. Emulsion, oil in water. Fat part is oil, water part is there. In Sinhala, thailo there. Thailo there, oil in water. So once you heat coconut milk, now what is emulsion? Oil in water. So oil is bond with water. What happened? Once you heat it, those weak bonds are broken. Weak bonds, durala bandhana, broken. So what happened? Oil separate from water. Water gradually vaporize, phosphate at 100 Celsius. Water boil before oil. What is the reason? Boiling temperature for water is only 100 Celsius, but oil, coconut oil, 180. Therefore, water boils before water, so it will remove. Finally, those bonds are remaining. Those are protein bonds. Protein that is remaining outside of the container. And coconut oil is remaining. But you should be gradually heat, not at once. Very slowly heat. So these peptide bonds are here. Small kids eager to eat. That is kitchen method. So kitchen method is dependent on this boiling temperature. At the same time, Once you bring coconut oil at home, once you start to boil, once you keep it fire, if it tries to boil at once, what does that say? Once you keep the coconut oil on the hearth and just start to boil, start to fire, from the very beginning, it will start boiling. Mean what? It is with some adulteress. Palm oil or whatever. Why? To boil coconut oil, it takes much time, 180 Celsius. You can easily make out whether your coconut oil is pure or not. Whether your coconut oil is pure or not, that's very much important. Then, what are the benefits of coconut oil? You can read. I'm not going to discuss that. You know, coconut oil is a good nutritive value, has a very good nutritive value. Vitamin E, provitamin, polyphenol, phytosterol, all are here. As I mentioned, like DC, antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, all are there. And the immune system, all are there. So please read them. Then manufacturing process of coconut oil from copra. Very simple. First, you are the raw material is copra. What is copra mainly, conventionally. So you are using copra. Normally, for convenience of convenient feeding, you may have cut copra kind of kapano for convenient feeding to the extractor mill. So cutting copra, then drying, thereafter expeller. You are pressing copra in the expeller. Expeller means copra sindine antre. Tell mola, expeller. You apply much pressure. Then what happens? Crude coconut oil. Once you press, you are taking copra dry. Little drying is there. That's very much important. Even copra from the storage, before extracting coconut oil, you have little bit heat. That will facilitate convenient free flow of oil. Copra put ratkar idahase tellenu. Free flow of coconut oil. Thereafter you are pressing of copra within the expeller. Then what happens? The result is crude coconut oil, crude. So you are moving to a tank and store. Or you can do filtering. For what? Remove residuals. Whatever the residual part you can do. It's in a filter. Finally, you can take coconut oil and store in large tanks. Very simple one. So yield from copra depends on what? Oil content of the copra and the efficiency of the method and machinery. Normally, good quality coconut oil should be colorless or less color. Colorless to brownish shade. At the same time, in the cold situation, Sitagard, it becomes, you can see, normally as a solid part. Condensation, methane. Their melting point is 23 to 26 Celsius. Once temperature comes down, it will be condensed. This slide is very much important. Please make note. This slide I have asked in exam. Classification of coconut oil. You should know how to classify coconut oil. You should know how to classify coconut oil. Edible and non-edible. Non-edible means industrial. So in the case of edible coconut oil, there are 4 types. Pradhana Akar Hatanai. Number 1, RB coconut oil. RB. Refine and bleach. Refine means you purify. Shuddha karna. Filtering. Bleach means you remove the yellow color using chemicals. Chemical that's not good. Refine means you filter. Bleach means you remove the color. Normally RB oil is white color. We name them as Sudhapolthil. Sudhapolthil here. Normally, sugar also same, no? Normal sugar is brown color, no? By using chemicals, bleaching agents, they convert into white color. But that is not good, poisonous. Likewise, RB oil, they are using bleaching agents and refine. The second time, RBD oil, RB and RBD, one more step. Refined bleach can deodorize. As I mentioned, DE mean remove. What they do, remove odor. Odor mean unpleasant odor. Then it is just like water, no color, no odor, same as water. RBD oil. Remove unpleasant taste and flavor, but it is more harmful. Why? They are using chemicals for this one. Then third one, fairing coconut oil. Kurutu tel. Did you remember we discussed about DC manufacturing? DC manufacturing. During DC manufacturing, what we did, we have done the step of pairing. After hatcheting, you are removing the brown color tester. That, as I mentioned, could be used in oil extraction. That's called as pairing coconut oil. Normally, it is not much good quality in cooking purpose. Sometimes scouring effect. Scouring. Kataharo no pudda. Scouring. 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 But sometimes we are using industrial use, no problem at all. Pairing oil. Sometimes that problem is there. That is why normally pairing coconut oil is converted into RBO, RBD oil, especially RBD oil. Produced from removed pair of desiccate pairings of coconut. Last one you can see here, virgin coconut oil. We are going to discuss next time in detail. Virgin coconut oil, they are the best quality coconut oil. In Sinhala, noun polte. Virgin coconut oil. It can be produced from coconut milk as well as pressed kernel. Therefore, virgin coconut oil means very high quality coconut oil produced under low temperature. Virgin coconut oil is colorless and no contamination at all. Why it is produced under very low temperature? Then non-edible coconut oil. So far we discussed edible coconut oil, 4 types: RB, RBD, crude oil, and virgin coconut oil. Now we are going to discuss non-edible coconut oil. They are, as I mentioned, industrial use. Number one, industrial coconut oil. How they have been produced? Damaged nuts. Can you remember I discussed it too? Rejections in DC. Rejections of DC. Cracked nuts, spoiled nuts, germinated nuts, and so on. So from those nuts, damaged nuts, pollen nuts, disease, and immature, fungal, bacterial, we can produce industrial coconut oil. At the same time, sludge oil. अब क्या मजान तेल केला in Sinhala, majan tel, sludge oil. That is the wastewater. Collected coconut water, white they say coconut, collected water from the washing tanks, Poonak, and so on. All wastewater, it is having wastewater in the coconut factory, oil factory, it is having some coconut oil, coconut water, and DC. They are collected water from the washing tanks and so on. Coconut water also having some coconut oil. That is taken as sludge oil. That's only used for, not for edible, but for what? Soap manufacturing, sabang hadan, detergent, selum karaka, and so on. Multifunctional uses of coconut oil. Multifunctional, more than one function, so many uses. Edible applications, no need to explain again and again. Edible mean we are using coconut oil as a food softening and frying agent. Source of fat, infant formula, and easily absorbed, and so on. Oil crackers, cookies, and so on. Then oil is a good dietary source. It is having some nutrition. Then you can see major non-edible use as a raw material for what? Laundry and bath soap in soap manufacturing. Then shampoo, shower gel and cleaning agent, and cosmetics and toiletries. All those are here. And what are the constraints of market of coconut oil? You can see couple of decades before, couple of decades before, there was a misfaith. They have developed, the market has developed very erroneous concept on coconut oil, wrong concept. Where is the them on coconut oil? They are unsaturated, health problem, and so no, that's not at all. What is the purpose of that constraint? The market, they want to introduce imported vegetable oil instead of coconut oil, palm oil and vegetable oil. Lanka town palm oil is vegetable oil again. For that, what they said, coconut oil is not healthy, not hygienic. Those are called as constraints of market of coconut oil. Constraints, Simakari Sadhaka. Misunderstand about the oil, unhealthy and high saturated, low quality, and so on. So, production of vegetable oil as alternative, soybean and so on, turkey and so on, vegetable oil, low cost. The main problem is in Sri Lanka, we don't have enough coconut to produce coconut oil, yield reduction of coconut. Actual story. That is why vegetable oils have invaded. Supply of coconut oil is not sufficient to fulfill the demand. Supply of coconut oil is not sufficient to fulfill the demand. Demand is on. That's the main reason. Okay. So far we have completed DC manufacturing, copra, and coconut oil. Now we are moving as I mentioned, processing of virgin coconut oil. Today we are going to start. From next week we are going to complete. Okay. So far we have completed DC, copra, and coconut oil. Then virgin coconut oil. Today we are going to start. Next week we have to do fiber, charcoal, and rest part of this coconut oil. Now you can see here virgin coconut oil. Now poltel. Can you see the screen? Screen pane on either.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, okay. Yeah, thank you. Now, virgin coconut oil production is composed of three basic stages. ප්‍රධාන අවධි තුනක් තියෙනවා. Pre-processing, processing, post-processing. Pre mean before, Purva Sakasima. Processing mean actual processing cycle. Post-processing mean, you can see, after process the virgin coconut oil, some practices we are doing. That is called as post-processing. So what I mentioned, virgin oil production is in 3 basic stages. Pre-processing mean preparation of raw material, harvesting, seasoning, and up to splitting and up for processing. From harvesting pre-processing. Processing mean the factory actual cycle. Factory or wherever the processing at home or wherever. Post-processing mean after being prepared the VCO to improve its quality. To improve its quality, what we are doing? 3 steps we are doing. So normally here you can see virgin coconut oil, as I mentioned last time also, there are 2 certifications are there, GMP and GAP, good agricultural practices, good manufacturing practice. Here is a product. So good manufacturing practice. So we have to apply good manufacturing practices in VCU. That's very much important. Now you can see pre-processing stage, where this stage covers all necessary steps before the press nut is actually open for conversion to VCU. As I mentioned earlier, before nut open, all the steps after harvesting, in between harvesting and processing. These are pre-processing. What are they? On-farm activities, harvesting, collection, husking, all, and transporting, and storage. Then processing stage. Processing means how to do process, either press wet or press dry method. So press coconut, how from a pressed coconut, virgin coconut oil is taken. Different technologies are there. We are going to discuss 8 or more than that methods. So that is the technology, different technologies. That is depend on scale of operation, how many small scale, medium scale, commercial scale, and the degree of mechanization, what are the use of machines, and what sort of investment we have, money, and last, the demand, supply. Then, this slide is very much important. This slide, please make note. VCO processing, I have given in the exam, list the methods of VCO processing. I have asked. List the VCO processing methods. List. exam VCO process basically there are 2 categories. They are under that different methods are there. Pradhana category dekai, there are main 2 categories. Under that number of methods are there. So what are basic 2 categories? Number 1, press dry process. Press dry process. You know, press dry. You are using kernel. Dry, press, dry kernel. Second one, press wet process. Press wet means first you convert kernel into coconut milk. That is why wet. From that coconut milk you are producing VCU. So please, you should be able to compare the difference. Press dry method, you are using press dry kernel. Press wet method, you are using coconut milk. That is why press dry process is, I have underlined, I have bold. VCO is obtained directly from pressed coconut kernel. Just like taking oil from copra. Then what the word dry? Press mean press kernel. Dry mean before any method you have to dry to reach the required moisture content. That is why all these processes require drying of press kernel before extraction oil. Now you can see what are the methods of press dry method. What are the methods of press dry method? Please read this one. What are the methods of press dry method? You are starting from press kernel. So main three categories are there. Number one, low pressure oil extraction. Low pressure. You can apply your own pressure. That's low pressure. You can do that at your own home. Only a simple equipment you have to use. Preach press. Low pressure. The pressure is less than 460 psi. Less than 460. High pressure extraction method. You are using machines mechanically, automated mostly. High pressure methods. There are three subcategories: wet milling, DCN, and grated nut. Finally, another method, press dry centrifuge. What you do there, this press dry kernel, you first convert into paste. Paste, P-A-S-T-E. Paste can paste. And put into centrifugal machine. And rotate at very high RPM. Centrifuge machine. Then what happens? Oil comes up, water comes down. Tell you skim milk goes down. That is press dry centrifuge. So among these methods, later we discuss, highest oil content output is from wet milling route. All VCO methods, highest oil output is from wet milling route. වැඩිම තෙල් එළියට එන්නේ wet milling route. Highest energy input is needed press dry centrifuge. වැඩිම ශක්තියක් වැය වෙන්නේ. Cost per energy is press dry centrifuge. Normally, low pressure methods, their moisture should be little high. Otherwise, not oil come. But high pressure methods, you are reducing moisture up to around 3%. Here you are keeping the moisture around 11 to 12, that value. Now shall we see, so what we discussed so far from VCO? Can you remember what we discussed? We are discussing on VCO, horizontal VCO. There I discussed it is in 3 steps: pre-processing, processing and post-processing. Then I discussed what is pre-processing, all these things. Then in processing we discuss there are 2 methods: press dry, press wet. Press dry mean directly from press kernel. Press wet mean we are making coconut milk. So press dry method I discuss different methods: low pressure, high pressure, and press dry centrifuge. There I discuss the difference. Wet milling mean you are preparing the kernel into 3 millimeter size particles. Here press dry centrifuge, you are preparing a paste. DCN route mean you same as DC manufacturing, but after disintegration you are doing oil extraction. Grated nut mean same as earlier, we will discuss later. Then press wet processing. Press wet processing. What the difference? As I just mentioned before, VCO is required from coconut milk. Pol kirivalin ganne. You may remember I discussed kitchen method. Our mothers, grandmothers, they did. Kitchen, that's also breastfed method. So VCO is required from coconut milk. Then what are their subdivisions? Please read this slide. මේ slide එක පොඩ්ඩක් කියවන්න තේරෙනවද බලන්න. මම විනාඩියක් දෙකක් කියවන්න මේ slide එක. Okay, now you can see you are taking press kernel normally. Then comminution of coconut kernel and extraction of coconut. You know comminution. Comminution means scraping, polgano. And extraction coconut milk, polkirigano, by adding some water. Then what happened? Now coconut milk you have to filter. अब filter करना. You may have coconut milk and milk residue. Milk residue means polkudu. Over the strainer, using a strainer, Pineria cargana, we are filtering. So coconut milk residue, polkudu, the particles remain over. Coconut milk you can separate. So using coconut milk, there are three methods in VCO processing. We discussed kitchen method. We have modified it here. So you should know what sort of modifications we are doing here. What is the difference between kitchen method and modified kitchen method? How to practice that? Second one, we discussed earlier, fresh dry centrifuge. You may remember here. Fresh dry centrifuge. What I mentioned there? From dry kernel, you make a paste and put it in the centrifuge machine. Like here, you are putting coconut milk, fresh wet into that machine. Third one, natural fermentation. Fermentation. Pasavanama. Actually, what we are doing in fermentation? We keep something without disturbing. අපි යමක් තියනවා disturb කරන්න නැතුව. Even cow milk, curd, we boil cow milk or buffalo milk and put some in a cooler. මොකක් හරි අපි කාරකයක් දානවා මිදෙන්න, මිදුම් කාරකයක්, and without disturbing we keep for a day. දවසක් තියෙනවා. Curd is formed. Like here also same. If you take coconut milk, without disturbing it can be kept couple of hours. But it's under refrigerator, otherwise it's contaminated. No? Then what happened? It is fermented into separate layers. Density natural fermentation. So actually what we are doing here, modified natural fermentation. In a method, there are some correction, please do. I do some correction. One word is missing. Please correct in your module. Give me 1 second. Now you can see. Please correct it as modified natural permutation method. Natural permutation we can do, but here VCO, we are doing some modification. So you should know in the exam, they are process and what sort of modification we do make. So these are the 3 press wet methods we are going to discuss. And other one, even from coconut milk residue for kudu. Again, actually we can make coconut flour, or we can put again water and take coconut milk and produce second quality VCU. For kudu අපිට පුළුවන් ආපහු දිය කිරි හදලා low quality coconut milk, second grade coconut milk හදලා you can prepare second grade coconut milk and produce VCU. Now shall we see. Now we are going to do one. Now how many methods we have to do? 1, under this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All together, I am going to discuss with you 8 methods of VCO processing. Today we are going to cover one method. Okay. Then next time, that is the first method, low pressure oil extraction method. Next week we are going to discuss these 3 methods and these 3 methods and coconut fiber and activated carbon. These are very simple topics. So very easily we can finish next week. Okay. However, now press dry low pressure oil extraction method. Press dry. You can see here, as I mentioned, also called that intermediate moisture. You can see what is the principle using low pressure 460 psi. P mean per square inch, 460 pounds per square inch, pounds. LBS में परने एककයක් वर्ग अंगड़ रातल 460. Very low pressure. Okay, we apply low pressure. Now what do you do? Now I will give an example. You are taking 2 sand samples to your 2 palms. ඔබ ඔබේ අතට ගන්නවා වැලි sample දෙකක්. Left hand, right hand. Assume left hand is having wet soil, sandy soil. වම් අතේ තියෙන තෙත වැලි පස් ටික. Too wet, ගොඩාක් තෙතයි. In the right hand you have soil sample that is not much wet, little wet. චුට්ටයි තෙත. Now you are asked to take water out by squeezing. You are asked to squeeze to take water. ඔබට කියනවා අත මිරිකලා වතුර ගන්න කියලා. පස් මිරිකලා. From which hand you can take water easily? Your left hand. Why? It is having more moisture. But right hand soil sample, it is having less moisture. So you have to very tightly squeeze. තදින් මිරිකන්න ඕනේ. Otherwise water will not come out. Same as here. When you apply low pressure method, what should be the moisture content of raw material? Coconut. 10 to 13. 10ක් 13ක් වගේ වතුර තෙතමනයක් තියෙනවා. Otherwise oil will not come. Then what is the problem? If we have too much moisture, 15, 20, then the resulting oil is having water. එහෙම වුණොත් එහෙනම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? ලැබෙන පොතල වල වතුර තියෙනවා. You can't keep it for a long time. If the moisture is too low, 8, 6, 7, 2, you can't take oil using this low pressure. So keep in mind, මතක තියාගන්න, under low pressure, you are drying your coconut material 10 to 13%. Normally, you know, at your domestic area, ඔබගේ ගෙවල් පැත්තේ තියෙන traditional පොල්තෙල් මෝල්, conventional coconut mills තියෙනවානේ, using copra වලින් ගන්න. There you know, high pressure. You have done very, very high pressure. You have seen smoke coming, දුම් දානවා. Oil become too brown, තද පාට වෙනවා. Why? Traditional process of oil base is very high pressure experience. Instead of 460, what is the pressure? 4 times, 1600. But what is their moisture? 3 to 4%, maximum 6%, copra maximum 6%, even less than that. Then, how to apply low pressure oil extraction? You know NERD. Do you have ever heard NERD? National Engineering Research and Development Center. ජාතික ඉංජිනේරු පර්යේෂණ හා සංවර්ධන ආයතනය. NERD. That's located in Ekala Jayala. They have developed this instrument, that is low pressure oil extraction method. You can use that at home level, domestic level, even for a single coconut or double coconut. 2 capacities. එක පොල් ගෙඩියක පොල් දාන්න, එක දෙක දාන්න. The law, how it is working? No, normally the oil extraction method is it's the same as earlier. You have to split the nut, පොල් ගෙඩිය බිඳ ගන්න ඕනේ, splitting. Thereafter grating. Meat mean kernel, but look at meat කියන්නේ coconut kernel into fine particles. පොඩි පොල් ගා ගන්න ඕනේ. Split the coconut, then scrape it. පොල් ගා ගන්න ඕනේ. දැන් මොකද වෙන්න ඕනේ? Can you remember I mentioned? What is moisture content? 10 to 13. That is why you are drying it to moisture content about 10 to 12. ඒක වේල ගන්නවා 10ක් 12ක් දෙනකන් තෙතමනි අඩු කරගන්න. Now what we are doing? Extract in the oil. මෙන්න මේක දුන්නක දානවා. You can see this is porous. This is a cylinder. It is porous. මේක cylinder එකක් මේ සිදුරු තියෙනවා. Now what happened? Inside that, this is the handle. You can rotate. This is the axle. It is hand piston. මේක ඇතුලේ piston එකක් තියෙන්නේ. අර palm machine වල අපි කතා කළා වගේ. Piston එකක් තියෙන්නේ. So what happened? While you first fill the cylinder with coconut kernel. Now, after putting this coconut kernel into piece batch, you are rotating this downward. So coconut oil can come out through this press bit that is produced from NERD. NERD, you can see here, from this coconut oil come out through these holes. Once you apply pressure here, what happened? This piston, once you rotate this piston move downward. Now coconut kernel is at the bottom. So what happened? It is you are pressing the kernel. So coconut oil come out through these holes. It is collected to this tray. So this is the outlet. So you can take correct coconut oil into the tray and separate. So this is the principle. Okay, low pressure oil extraction. You can see here. So these are the 4 steps. First of all, you are splitting the nut. So you can do split the nut. Pre-selected fully mature has nuts without tax. Normally, please see same as earlier. Just like DC, you have to take good quality coconuts. What sort of coconut? Fully mature, without cracks, spongy, paraben bare, no germinated, nothing. Then grating. Grating means scraping, polgaganno. So spine particles. Thereafter, this is the way. Now you can take, and now he's scraping coconut. This is mechanically. He's using a motor, he's scraping coconut. Like here. This is mechanical. Even you can do manual scraping. Then what you do? Drying. You can do drying. 10 to 11 or 10 to 12% is in a small dryer. At domestic level, you can dry in a normal way. Then, drying is the most critical part in this process. That's why I mentioned. Why? Over drying, no lower drying. Over drying, no oil will come out. Lower drying, oil is with water. That is why if the kernel is not turned by high-skilled dry operators, it is burned. That's very much important. You have to uniformly dry, otherwise burning. Then what happened? It is not VCO. Dark color. Actually, right moisture is 10 to 11. 10 to 11, 10 to 11 like this way. Before putting the cylinder for oil extraction. Now, this I have bold. You should explain very well in the exam. If the moisture content is too low, තෙතමනේ ඉතා අඩු නම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? Less than 10 to 11, no oil will be extracted. තෙල්ලෙන්ට pressure is not enough, low pressure is not enough to take oil out. Second one, if the moisture content is too high, then what happens? Oil that comes out is mixed with coconut milk. That means water. You can't keep it for a long time. What the reason? Residual oil mixture. Now, coconut milk means residual moisture in the oil will shorten its shelf life. You can't keep shorten less shelf life. You can't keep it for a long time. So now we have discussed all steps so far. What are the steps we discussed? Splitting, grating, and drying. Last step is what? Extracting. Now you can see loading. Loading into a cylinder when the grated kernel is dried to the right moisture, 10 to 11, it is loaded into cylinder as I mentioned. Then oil extractor is there. Last step is settling. Settling means what? You have to remove the, allow to settle residual material. Coconut milk residue. Press has entrained fine particles of dye kernel. Entrained for you allow 2 weeks time for settling. These are removed by allowing oil to clarify by letting it stand for at least 2 weeks. So this is the way you can apply. One method you can see, this is the bridge press. So this is the cylinder. So you can apply this pressure. By this handle, you can apply the pressure, low pressure, like here. So what happened finally? The oil come out through this funnel to the container. So this is large scale. You can do this one. Okay. Earlier to a tray. Here it is to a tray. This is to a tray. This is only rotating. Horizontally you can rotate. It is low. It takes some hard to rotate. But you can see here in this method, his full weight he can apply. මෙයාගේ මුළු බරම යොදන්න පුළුවන්. His full weight he is applying here. So you can take much oil. And from the bottom of the cylinder you can collect the coconut oil. That is the low pressure oil method. Okay. So from here I am going to wind up, conclude. Other kale press low pressure method ඉවර කළා. Next week we are doing starting from press dry high pressure expeller method. අපි එතනින් පටන් ගන්නවා press dry method. So we will meet on next week. Thank you very much for Pramod and Mahen for sharing the link. Thank you very much. I will tomorrow, after tomorrow lecture, tomorrow evening I will send the assignment titles. Okay, thank you very much. We'll meet next week.
Thank you, sir.
You are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You all are welcome.
Recording stop.